Contemplation. This week, just look within. Make yourself the temple of observation. The original meaning of Latin contemplari was to mark out the space for observing auguries or omens, and the temple was a holy space reserved for this purpose. The self, God, is the circle whose center is everywhere, whose circumference is nowhere. Carl Jung and Herman Hesse, A Record of Two Friendships, Miguel Serrano, Schocken, 1968. Quote, "It may be that universal history is the history of a handful of metaphors. The purpose of this note will be to sketch a chapter of that history." Jorge Luis Borges, The Fearful Sphere of Pascal, translated by Anthony Kerrigan. In The Fearful Sphere of Pascal, Jorge Luis Borges explores the history of a metaphor that has evolved over centuries. The essay traces the concept of the divine and infinite sphere, with its center everywhere and circumference nowhere, through various philosophers and thinkers. The journey begins with Xenophanes of Colophon, who proposed a single God in the form of an eternal sphere. Parmenides and Empedocles later elaborated on this idea, and it resurfaces in different forms, such as in the Hermetic books and medieval texts, where the divine is likened to an intelligible sphere. Dante's cosmology, rooted in Ptolemaic astronomy, also plays a significant role, with Earth positioned at the center of a complex system of concentric spheres. However, during the Renaissance, Giordano Bruno embraced the idea of an infinite universe with a center everywhere. As time progresses, particularly in the 17th century, there is a perceptual shift. Borges delves into the transformation of the metaphor by Pascal, who, overwhelmed by dread and abhorrences towards the universe, characterizes it as a fearful sphere. Borges suggests that universal history may be a narrative of different interpretations of a few fundamental metaphors. The evolution of a metaphor of the sphere reflects changing philosophical and cultural perspectives throughout history. I'm going to read a little bit from the essay. Dante's poem preserved the Ptolemaic astronomy which for 1400 years reigned in the imagination of mankind. The Earth occupies the center of the universe. It is an immobile sphere. Around it circle 9 concentric spheres. The first 7 are planetary skies, the firmaments of the moon, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. The 8th, the firmament and the fixed stars. The 9th, the crystal firmament, which is also called the primum mobile. This in turn is surrounded by the empyrean, which is composed of light. All these elaborate apparatus of hollow, transparent, and gyrating spheres, one system required 55 of them, had come to be an intellectual necessity. De hypothesibus motum celestium commentariolus is the timid title which Copernicus, denier of Aristotle, placed at the head of the manuscript that transformed our vision of the cosmos. Going further, and Aristotle was but the fragment of an Adam, and Athens the rudiments of paradise. In that dispirited century, the absolute space which had inspired the hexameters of Lucretius, the absolute space which had meant liberation to Bruno, became a labyrinth and an abyss for Pascal. He abhorred the universe and would have liked to adore God, but God, for him, was less real than the abhorred universe. He deplored the fact that the firmament did not speak, and he compared our life with that of a castaways on a desert island. He felt the incessant weight of the physical world. He experienced vertigo, fright, and solitude, and he put his feelings into these words. Nature is an infinite sphere, whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. Thus, do the words appear in the Brunswick text, but the critical edition published by Turner, Paris, 1941, which reproduces the crossed out words and variations of the manuscript, reveals that Pascal started to write the word effroyable, a fearful sphere whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. It may be that universal history is the history of all the different intonations given a handful of metaphors. Jorge Luis Borges, The Fearful Sphere of Pascal, translated by Anthony Kerrigan. And then there is a circle and a dot in the middle as an image, and it says the circle dot was used by the Pythagoreans and later the Greeks to represent the first metaphysical being, the monad or the absolute. Making oneself the temple of observation, each moment becomes a sanctuary for observation, a sacred space within to understand oneself. What inspires you? A cantilever bridge across a deep gorge, Dane Rudger. Phase 36, Taurus 6, lunar eclipse. Overcoming. Creating connections to eliminate isolation and cultivate group awareness. Building bridges to end separation. Following a profound setback, it can seem as though the ground has given way beneath us. To counteract the sense of separation and desolation, engaging in a challenging community project becomes a vital means to demonstrate our active involvement and significance in life. So it is here, on October 28th, the last South Node in Scorpio and North Node in Taurus eclipse. Next time until October 25th, 2041, which yearly has some configurations that will also affect my personal chart. Talking this one. Let's stay here for a second. I'm going to ask you, what are you feeling these days? What are you sensing? What is your intuition guiding you towards to? What is your gut pointing at? As you can see above, I'm not asking for an opinion, nor will give you mine. These times are for reflecting. As a species, we are built to survive and thrive. Also, to use challenges as opportunities to evolve. But can we make it this time? From hopelessness, grief, and outrage to numbness, and then what? Creation, breath, colors, smell, scents, texture, and discoveries. My ear returned to the act of listening. I applied ancient wisdom and it popped. Now, I am making animations for a proposal. Lots of colors invade my screen as they move in surreal landscapes that denote a passage of time, whimsically evoking both our power to create and destroy. Oh, civilization gives us ways to be uncivilized. A few days ago, someone dear to me passed away, an important educator who was crucially my unlimited reach for the stars. Acknowledging his legacy and keeping his spirit alive fuels my spirit. Yet, my warrior heart, which longs for freedom, is relentless. More revelations to come. The eclipse is a portal. In the last two passes over the same 5-degree point in my chart, 1986 and 2005, they offered so much change. Even while it was in reverse in 2014, was the gate for my current emancipation. I have acquired the freedom to feel authentic. And what can I do with this freedom if not support the collective? Check your opinion levels. Check the drawer where all the faults and blames lie. Be concrete about the changes you would like to embrace. Even those who seem terrifying are opportunities for better ways. Am I afraid? Not really. But I am attentive. I am attentive to my thoughts, but more attentive to my body signaling my way. Be well. The sun rises every morning, offering an opportunity to embrace life. The courage to be free is what motivated my hope. What is your motivation? In the next few days, I will post an article I wrote on connections I find between Jungian shadow work, human action, praxeology, time preference, value, Austrian economics, and Bitcoin. Till then, don't forget to smile. This is a reminder to myself, the power of self-reliance. As the lunar eclipse unfolds, making the final dance between powerlessness and the newfound self-sufficiency that has granted a grounded perspective, it accentuates the fear of survival. Yet, at this moment, it generously presents a multitude of possibilities, especially with Saturn sextiling the moon, suggesting that desires may indeed manifest and abundance plays a defining role in shaping our reality. Jupiter in opposition challenges the drive and focus required to confront inner desires for personal evolution. This may be the crucial shake before embracing our current place in civilization. Questions arise. What actions will I take? Whom can I trust? How do I envision living my life? It's an opportunity to return to basics and rebuild from a foundation of authenticity and intention. The lunar eclipse and celestial alignments beckon us to explore these inquiries and navigate the transformative journey towards self-discovery and intentional living. The sun is going to be in gate 28-4, signifies the intuitive capacity to employ any available means to steadfastly pursue one's goals and navigate through ongoing challenges. In gate 27-4, the moon and earth, one possesses the strength to identify those deserving of rewards and generosity, coupled with a willingness to openly share abundance. Mars, Mercury gate 44-4 and 44-3, oppose Jupiter at gate 24-4. Mars manifests as the instinct to incorporate all available powers in managing tasks, driving directly toward the intended goal. Mercury, on the other hand, embodies the instinct to be prepared for potential disruptions, enabling timely interventions and the ability to navigate others' egos to uncover underlying reasons. Jupiter, positioned at gate 24-4, forms a precise opposition to Mercury and Mars. Here, solitude becomes a catalyst for rational thinking, offering enrichment through introspective moments. As Saturn prepares to station direct in gate 55-1, there is an emphasis on cooperation with potent forces, unlocking the potential to discover the spirit through collaborative efforts. Uranus in gate 24-4 brings about fragmentation, representing individuality whose value isn't always acknowledged. It reflects the challenge of expressing oneself coherently for its own sake. To create a meaningful impact on others and foster trusting relationships, the key lies in engaging in cooperative endeavors. By entering into relationships to build on trust, one can cultivate a sense of security and fulfillment. Okay, guys, let's take a deep breath. The last eclipse and the last lunation were like really, really, really strong. This one is not that easy, but if we know already that it's going to be the end of a very big cycle, perhaps you already know where you're heading to. And if you don't worry. Close your eyes and trust yourself. Contemplate what kind of life you want to have. Have a great one. Take care.